This is a journey into sound.
Let's go.
Okay, so good morning to anybody who's decided to join us for good morning or good evening or whatever it is, wherever you are. To anybody who's decided to join us for the second Podcasty Thing. We're trying some new platform that we don't know how it works. Well, I don't know. I don't know whether Adam's got a better idea than me. That we really don't know how it works. So bear with us if things go wrong. So we're probably going to do a similar sort of formatty thing to what we did last time and make it up as we go along.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. So I will start by asking, what was I going to do? So, what have you been reading much this month? Have you?
Yeah, so I think since the last episode, I left it off saying I was about to start a 900-page Wheel of Time book. So that's obviously took me a couple of weeks to get through. And then straight after that, I decided to pick up an even larger book, James Clavell's Guy Gin, which is over 1,000 pages.
Oh dear.
And I'm about 30 pages into that. So yeah, basically, we're only going to call things new by any it's my little 8-year-old minus ain't working maybe, but
The only thing it worked on was new metal, wasn't it? That was it.
yeah, it didn't really get picked up very much.
No, they did. But yeah, that was a weird discovery, and I said it's budget-wise, I don't know how much they got, but they did a pretty good job.
Yeah. Where did you find it?
Oh, it's on YouTube. I'll put a link when I put this up.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, when I put this up, I'll put a link if anybody's interested down below, because it's apparently there was some anniversary for 2000 AD, and they actually showed it there. So the 2000 AD people were quite happy with it.
Yeah,
but no.
So you said you've been reading some Rogue Trooper. Is that by any chance in the Case Files collection? You know, like the compilations?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I have some of the original comics, which are just about holding together. But yeah, I've got book 1, I've got book 3. For some reason, I've not got book 2 because I've been trying to find it for vaguely human amount of money.
Yeah.
Because they're technically out of print, and I know they've reprinted them in another format since. But me being quite pedantic, want them in the same format as I've got them before, and
of course.
And they keep reprinting them every now and then in stupid little different coloured editions. It gets really annoying.
Yeah, I last year I read Jason Kingsley's biography.
Yeah.
Purely, I bought it and read it purely on the fact that he saved 2000 AD back in the day. So he did the nation a service there. So I thought I'm going to do him a service and pick up and read his book. But yeah, I think it's great. You know, rather than let it just slide and kind of like bankrupt, it's not as good as it was. Obviously, it's not like how we remember it, but it's good that at least they have a platform for re-releasing the older content and stuff. So
yeah, I picked up one of the new ones a few years back, and it was okay. But I'm trying to work out whether that's just me, the way I look back at the old stuff, or whether younger people there are picking it up are excited about it as I was at the time.
Yeah, it's hard to know, right?
Yeah, because I remember, because I'm that old, I remember when it was released, because I brought issue 2.
Shouldn't give that away.
I know. I brought issue 2 when it came out, and I also brought Star-Lord, because then it amalgamated with Star-Lord, which is I think that's where Rogue Trooper came from, wasn't it? Yes. And they also had another comic called Tornado, which I brought, and then that amalgamated with it, because they sort of amalgamated more because there just wasn't enough platforms. And but yes, I'm that old that I bought issue 2.
Yeah, so issue 2, I think
that's the first one.
It wasn't the cover painted. I think the artist received £10 as payment for painting the cover for issue 2. I remember reading it in one of the documentary books or something back in the day. I remember thinking, oh wow, £10, that sounds like a lot of money, because obviously I was just a kid when I read it.
But they ripped off
think about it.
They ripped off so many writers and artists. Yeah. All the comics did.
Yeah, they did, yeah.
And especially Marvel.
Yeah, definitely.
Just get Alan Moore raging on it. Which is his best.
Yeah, issue 2, that was the first
with Dredd in it.
Judge Dredd, yeah.
Yeah, I think it had Did it have a spinner on it? You get a weird little freaky, a little like boomerang thing.
It did, yeah, the free spinner. I picked that up from a comic book shop back in the day. I remember saving all my money for like a year. I think it cost me like £60, I think it was, for a copy of it. I passed all my 2000 ADs on years ago, 20 years ago now. But yeah, I was so happy to have. I was like, oh wow, yeah, first time Judge Dredd's been in an issue.
But the paper stock it's printed, the early ones are printed on, is horrific. It is really the cheapest of the cheap.
Yeah, you got to keep them sealed as well because, like you say, just literally falls apart, doesn't it?
You know, because I picked up a couple recently, and I said they're actually not too bad condition, but you think of the paper, you think, if I touch this too much, it's literally going to disintegrate on me.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it does feel like there's old issues of the Sun newspaper in better condition, better paper than.
Well, because all that paper was, being an ex-printer, one of my many things I've done in my life, all that paper is just recycled paper. It's just pulped and it's just reused. So all the fibres just start falling apart after a while.
What do you want for eight English pence back in the day? You know?
I know. But I used to read those more than... I wasn't big into sort of the Marvel superheroes, but I did buy Captain Britain, which is, I'm saying, on a bit of Captain Britain stick at the moment, because I wanted as a collection of the first ones, which is the ones that people don't like as much because they all love the Alan Moore ones. And the first one when he was wearing a lion on his suit, on his chest, because they were published at 76, 77, and they always said it looked like, because at the time the lion brand was used on eggs in the UK for saying quality of eggs, and everybody called it like the egg suit and things like this.
Yes.
But I'm trying to pick up that because I'm on a sort of weird King Arthur kick, but weird King Arthur stuff at the moment. So that's probably one of my next things.
Strangely adjacent King Arthur.
Yeah, weird. Which is why I showed on my community tab the Knights of Pendragon, which I've never read before, which I'm going to hit soon. Which has got Captain Britain, Union Jack. I can't remember who else in there. About 3 or 4 of them in there.
Yeah.
But apparently it's well liked. It was released back in 93, I think it came out. And there was 2 runs of it. But the second run was like cut short when all the comic prices crashed and nobody could produce anything for a while. So I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, that's basically been my reading for the month. I really haven't read much at all.
Yeah, it's been a slow one for us this month, guys. Sorry.
I was going to get onto the Winter King, which I'm on to, and do Android's Dream Electric Sheep that I need to start reading again, which I'm hopefully going to once I've finished the Harry Turtledove. But I said
that'll be probably end of March for me, I think.
Yeah.
By the time to get to Androids, yeah.
Yeah, but it's quite a quick read anyway. I find it, but then I've read it so many times, I'll probably read it quicker than I did anyway.
You could probably narrate it.
So yes, that's what I've been reading. Or not reading at the time. The thing I was talking to you yesterday about was I noticed because June's coming out.
Yes.
It was part 2 of June. And
tickets?
No, I'm not. I'll wait for it to. I'm not. I liked the first part, but I think Roy said it all looks a bit grim, and it's all a bit grim and dreak. To me, it's not fantasy enough.
Yeah.
It's because
it's sterile, isn't it? Yeah.
Because if you read the book, I said I like the book. I've always said I don't put it up there as a lot of other people do, but I do like the book. But it's more of an epic fantasy to me, and it needs some of that in it, which is why, as much as David Lynch's version didn't make huge amounts of sense in places, it looks stunning. Yeah, I've got.
Yeah.
I've got
to say, I was probably more entertained by the David Lynch one than I was part 1.
Yeah.
Of the reimagining or whatever. But that doesn't mean I thought it was a bad movie though. I did quite enjoy it still, and I'll still watch part 2.
Yeah, no,
it's almost a different thing, isn't it? It's almost like not the Dune that you know. It's just almost like a different Dune,
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Like the David Lynch one, to me, it's worth it for the battle pug. For Patrick Stewart wandering around with a pug under his arm for no apparent. Yeah, wandering around with a pug under his arm for no apparent reason, as far as I could work out, bar the fact that I think David Lynch liked pugs. But bits of it just don't make sense, and stinging his underpants and It's all really, really.
I quite like Sting in that.
Yeah,
He
no.
didn't come across as absolutely unhinged.
But he was in another film. Sting was it Brimstone and Treacle or something about a priest who was totally.
I've seen that one actually.
Yeah, it was totally unhinged. He was actually pretty good in it. But yeah, so Lynch, as you said, Lynch's Dune. I went to the cinema to see that with a friend of mine, and I had to explain the plot to him because he'd not read the book. And I just go with it. But yeah, no, I picked up the 4K version last year with lots of extras and ridiculous amounts on it. And then I forced my wife Rosie to watch it, and she was going, "What is going on here?"
So, what would you say is your favourite? Because you said you like the book, but you don't hold it in the highest reverence. Give me kind of a breakdown of your Dune kind of media ranking or something.
My media ranking, my favourite version is the Lynch version, even though it makes no sense. But I think the best adaptation is the miniseries that Sci-Fi did, because I think that's closest to the book, and also the set design and production design is a bit unhinged as well.
Yeah.
The Denis Villeneuve one, I can't really judge it till I've seen the second part. I enjoyed it. I really loved Jason Momoa in it. I thought he was good. They did some weird choices that I couldn't work out. They changed the sex of Leah Kynes, which I'm not a huge issue with, but the issue I have with it is the fact that in Dune, the male and the female Ben Gesserit are held in higher order than the male ones, and that was part of the reason why Leah was male. It was all part of that way Frank Herbert constructed the world. And I understand when you do it when there's not many huge sort of really strong female roles in a production, but in Dune there's loads.
Yeah,
that
should be the you're right. It should be the, other than Paul, that should be the focus, really, shouldn't it?
Yeah,
that's where you should get most of the exposition and stuff. So.
Yeah, but it looks beautiful. It does look absolutely beautiful. His production design and stuff that he's taken over. Like if you watch Blade Runner 2049 and with all the Roger Deakins stuff in it, and it's just absolutely stunning. Like Denis Villeneuve's a great filmmaker. But yeah, so that's probably third of my films of Dune. The Children of Dune production I like, but I'm not particularly keen on the book at all, really, because I think, to me, the novel of Dune sits by itself, and I think it sits by itself really well. A bit like the whole of Lord of the Rings sits there by itself, and as much as the Silmarillion stuff is entertaining, as a whole thing, it, in some ways, is best left to itself. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I understand what you mean.
Yeah.
Like, if you just took Lord of the Rings on its own, it's kind of like perfect on its own.
Yeah. It doesn't
Even
need
though the other stuff's good. Yeah, you can kind of just treat it. Yeah.
But I know there's about 20, because I know Brian Herbert wrote a load of novels with Kevin Anderson and things like this. But I gave up after God Emperor of Dune, I think. I just sort of lost interest. And every now and then I think, maybe I should go back and read them. And it's like, no.
I just picked up God Emperor of Dune, actually. I found a hardback. It was like a pretty early printing. And it didn't even look like it had been read. And I just found it like for I think it's £3 or £4. I think it was in the charity shops. And I was like, I picked that up just because it looks like no one's even opened it, which was really weird. Because I got this set on my birthday, I just thought I'll keep my eyes out for the next couple of books, because I think people mostly like the first kind of 5 or 6, right?
Yes, generally a lot of big fan. Most people seem to like them. You either get people like me who just think the first one, and then you get people like the 3, 4, or 5 as well. And I think they do make sense. It's the whole of the, from what I remember, so it's many years since I've read them. They do work as a whole thing, but I just quite like the self-containedness of Dune, and I liked finishing on what it did.
Yeah. Were you aware that Dune was also a very influential video game?
No, I wasn't. And
yes, it's actually a very important video game. It basically started or helped start the kind of battle strategy simulations. So like Command and Conquer, which was a very popular series in the 90s, basically got started as a piece of Dune kind of like.
Is that PS1? Is it?
Almost. Sorry.
Is that a PS1 game? Is it?
It is, yeah. Ooh. And it's basically you just go drop onto planets and harvest spice, and you fight over spice basically. to kind of build bases and then go and fight wars.
Yeah.
It's quite a clever idea, really, because all these kind of simulations now are all based on kind of harvesting resources. I think most people play these things on phones now, but yeah, back in the day on PC and PS1, yeah. Strangely, it's responsible for almost a whole genre of video games as well.
But yeah, that's sort of my sort of Dune trio stuff. Like if you think it, what was it? Dune came out in 1963, and
that's crazy, isn't it?
And when you think of it like that, and when you think what's in it, you know, certain books around about that period, like if you look at Asimov's Foundation, which came out before that as well. As much as I love Asimov Foundation, I think it's probably one of my favourite books of all time. But the complexity of Dune just totally blows it away.
Oh yes, crazy.
Yeah,
the scope of it. And I was talking to someone about this on another live stream, and sometimes the most depth is when you just kind of hint at things, like you drop things into.
Yeah, you don't have to explain everything. Yes.
Yeah, you don't have to hold someone's hand, explain everything, and then basically you're creating a bigger world by not saying or not showing the reader. And I think this is one of the books that is kind of like peerless at doing that, really.
Yeah, because when it starts on Caladan, obviously, when they're testing Paul, and you know nothing really. And even when they get onto when they're folding space and going to Arrakis, it doesn't really explain anything. And that's what the best said science fiction and fantasy does. You don't need to explain everything in minute detail. Because Lord of the Rings, as much as there's all that detail there that Tolkien wrote, in the actual books, he doesn't really explain it all.
Yeah, that's why people still read it and reread it and kind of infer things.
Yeah.
By what is not said as much as what is on the page. And I think if you want something a long lasting world, I think the way Herbert and Tolkien did it was probably, for me, it's the best way to do it.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, because because when you start over explaining every little detail, which I found a lot of more modern, especially fantasy and science fiction, seem to over explain. They seem to want to lead everybody slowly, and they're scared to leave stuff out.
Yeah.
Which is why I think you end up with 6,000-page books in some of these things, when you think, just a bit of editing would be good.
Yeah, I come across online recently, maybe it's been a little bit negative towards modern fantasy that I do read a fair bit of, saying that, you know, kind of authors are holding readers' hands a little bit too much and maybe having to over-explain, try to make their books read like the latest thriller off of the newsstand at the train station or something, rather than just, you know, writing the book they want to write and just kind of holding back what they want to hold back. But
I don't think the publishing market at the moment helps them, because they're all trying to make a living, and you don't get all the publishing deals they used to get, and so it's all a bit harder out there. So they're trying, I don't know whether consciously or subconsciously, to try and get the broadest reach they can, I think, especially in the fantasy field. And like there was a fantasy sort of resurgence post 1980, but that was people writing almost what they want there. But like the fantasy resurgence that's on now, there's a lot of what they count as YA, even though I think YA is a pseudo genre. It doesn't really exist, but
I agree.
Yeah,
actually, yeah.
But there's a lot of that sort of thing, because what I see as YA is a lot aimed at I'm trying not to be disparaging here, more at the teenage female market feels. There's a huge chunk of it, all the Sarah J. Maas types of things, which I've never read.
Yeah.
People obviously love her stuff because she sells so well. So there's obviously a huge market for it, but there seems to be a lot in that sort of slot that you see. And then the epic fantasy is, I think it's a slightly smaller market, but then you get people like Sanderson, who sells loads as well.
Yeah. He sells like hotcakes.
You know, I've never actually read it. I've got books of his on the shelf, but I've never actually got around to reading his stuff.
I think he's got his style, and it is a very modern style, and I think he does get boxed in. But I think what's happening is a lot of people are trying to emulate that style.
Yeah.
now you've got a lot of almost Sanderson-esque cookie cutters
Yeah.
alongside it, and it makes it feel almost like he's pandered to a market that maybe didn't exist when he started releasing those books. But there are a lot of books that feel and read like his books now, which again, if that's your thing, you're not going to complain about more of it, are you? But
no, his output is incredible.
Oh yeah, he writes faster than Stephen King, I think.
I know. Yeah, probably the only person to run faster than Stephen King. Yeah, because I do need to read some more modern fantasy, but I said I'm always a bit shaky about it, and I've got so much backlog of stuff to read. I was Philip Chase's channel. I was watching some the other day, and actually one of the videos I was going to recommend is he's got a top 10 of fantasy that makes you think, and there's about half of it's quite modern stuff, and some of those I was thinking, okay, I'm quite interested in that. Though he did put the Book of the New Sun in there, which I'd always classify as science fiction. I'd always argue that, because how else do you explain the cyborg?
Yeah,
but I understand why.
I haven't read it yet, but I am surprised that it gets thrown in.
Yeah, it's one of
as often as it does, because
it's it's the bit of
right?
science fiction that feels like fantasy. There's a few books like that. If you get to Julian May's The Many Coloured Land, from, if you know that at all, it's Saga of the Exiles. That feels like fantasy, even though it is science fiction. Basically, they travel back in time to pre-dinosaur people, and there's an alien race living on the planet, and they control enslaved the humans that have come back, but you can't travel back forwards. So once you're back there, you're back there, and they use these things to control. But it feels like fantasy. It's well worth a read if anybody's not read it. But that came out at the same time as things like Chronicles of Thomas Covenant and that sort of surge of stuff. But you had, around that time, you had quite a few sort of, as you say, cookie cutter ones, but then you had weird ones like that, and then you had Stephen Donaldson's Thomas Covenant, which is very, very grim. It's grimmer than grim. You know, it starts off with...
I think that, as you were saying, I think that gets talked about more now than a lot of those cookie cutter fantasies, because it was a bit different. And it can still stand out. People still remember it as being different.
Well, people remember it. There's a lot of people who read it and read the first few chapters and threw it down because there's a brutal sexual assault right at the beginning of it. And the main character is not likable at all. You hate him through all 6 books. Actually, was it 9 books? I can't remember. You really do not like the man at all. But that is the whole point of it. In some ways, you go on his journey about him discovering it. But yeah, he's not a nice man at all. And that's why when people say, about Grimdock, morally grey characters, I think, well, have you read this or looked at this from back then?
Oh, it's definitely not a new concept, yeah.
No, or read some Michael Moorcock and Elric and... But yeah, it's always quite interesting when you start trying to compare the older fantasy to new fantasy. I said I had problems because I've not read the bits I've read. I've been on. I'm trying to think what was the last one, which is what. But then I have similar issues with some modern science fiction. Probably the best thing, most modern ones. Obviously, Andy Weir's The Martian. His science fiction is just incredibly readable and a really, really fun read. Trying to think what else modern wise. The Expanse series I really enjoyed. I keep meaning to Alistair Reynolds. I've got a couple of his books. I keep meaning to read some of his for some sort of heavier stuff.
Isn't that a really long series?
Yeah, that's the problem. Is I keep looking at them. They're ridiculous sized books. I've got a one-off of his, which is on the shelf there, which I can't. It's called Century Reign, which is apparently a one-off, which I picked up because it was a one-off, because I thought that's probably way before I get into some ridiculously heavy series. But I get the feeling that because he was compatriot with Ian Banks,
right,
and the Culture series. But the problem is, the Culture series, I've read a few of those, and I wasn't particularly keen on the Culture series. Ian Banks' non-science fiction I really, really like, but his science fiction I'm never really picked up things like The Crow Road, which isn't science fiction, and The Wasp Factory, which was his first novel.
He's super popular though, isn't he?
Yeah, people love the Culture series.
His books are everywhere.
Yeah, the Culture series people love. I think it's Consider Phoebus was the first one, but I just never really got it. I felt it a bit cold. And when you've got lots of things to read, you think, oh, I'll go and read something a bit. It grabs me a bit more. But yeah, so that was a little thing off. But you were saying about the Dune adaptation. Obviously, we've got the Shogun one coming up, which is on Disney, I think, next month, isn't it?
Yeah, so I think in the US it's FX, but obviously over here FX got amalgamated into Disney, didn't it? So I think, is it? Should be really soon, right? Like next week, maybe.
Yeah, it's quite soon.
It's imminent, right? I think they dropped for that one.
It looks. I saw one trailer of it. It looks really good.
Yeah, I mean, if it's anything like the book is unbelievable. So
because I read the book off the back of seeing the original miniseries with Richard Chamberlain.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, but I've heard it's actually pretty decent.
It is pretty decent. It's when did I last see it? I saw it about 5-6 years ago again, and yes, you can tell it was made at the beginning of the 80s, but that doesn't worry me at all. But it's still very good. Oi! What are you barking at? What are you doing? Silly dog. He's just seen something out the window. Yeah. It's added dog content today. Gizmo, shush.
You didn't feed him after midnight, did you?
That never makes any sense to me, because you feed everybody after midnight. It never makes any sense. That's the thing. No, I tried to give him his breakfast and he wouldn't eat it. Let's see if he shuttles down a bit. Joys of dogs.
Must be a postman.
On a Sunday around here? You don't get them
yeah, good point. Very good point.
But yeah, no, the Richard Chamberlain Shogun I used to really like, but I'm looking at this one, it's got, who's it? Japanese actor that I've seen everything. I can't think of his name now. He's basically, you'll recognise him. I think I've seen him in so many things in the new one, but it said it does look good, and you just said the book is incredible.
Yeah.
And I just hope they do it justice.
Yeah, I really hope so. There's so much in that book as well. Like you could take, because it's broken into books, isn't it, as well? So there's six parts or something. And you could almost do a whole season on each book, really, because there's so much content in there, isn't there? But yeah, I'm assuming they'll do a 6-part, maybe an episode per.
Yeah, because the original one was
story, maybe.
The original one was 3 parts, I think, so 6 hours worth, and that's not enough to cover the book.
No, yeah, I think six episodes, about an hour 15 a piece, maybe is probably the way to go.
Yeah, because I was talking about things like I've been going through a bit of a Marvel phase on TV series, catching on stuff, because I wanted to watch the Marvels because I was just intrigued because it was on Disney, and then I thought, okay, maybe you should watch Miss Marvel beforehand, even though I sort of avoided it because I thought, well, it's not really aimed at me. And so I watched.
It's not really, yeah. Is it really a Miss Marvel movie? And
I don't know.
It's all scroll stuff, really, isn't it?
Yeah. So I watched the TV series of Miss Marvel, which actually I really enjoyed. I'm not a target audience, but I just thought it felt different, and it was just.
Is that the rebooted Miss Marvel, where she goes back to India and stuff in time?
Yes.
Is that? Yeah, that was really good actually. Yeah.
I was because I really
my kids. That was really good.
I was really surprised at that. So then I was that. And then I watched the film of the Marvels, which actually I quite enjoyed, but I'm glad I watched Miss Marvel beforehand. And then I thought, okay, maybe I should go back and watch Captain Marvel, which I didn't particularly like.
I was getting confused. Yeah.
Yeah, they all go. So I've gone back and just watched Captain Marvel again, and I realised I actually quite like Captain Marvel after watching the other two. It sort of makes a bit more sense now. But I think the problem that Marvel have got is everything's so interconnected. If you miss a bit, you don't know what's going on. And then
there was another show they released last year after Miss Marvel.
Secret Invasion.
Secret. That's what it was. Secret
Yeah,
Invasion. Yeah.
that makes
imagine it would make much sense without the Secret Invasion show.
Yeah, if I've not seen Secret, yeah, and it's just like this is all too much intertwined, and that is the problem. A film needs to stand by itself, and I don't understand why people were in the Marvels were having such a go at it, but I can see why people may have had a problem if they've not seen other shows.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah.
I didn't finish Secret Invasion. That's why I haven't watched the Marvels.
Oh, I watched Secret Invasion. I plodded my way through it, and it was like bits of it were okay, and there was other bits of it you thought okay. But I watched.
Yeah, it's a bit stop-start, wasn't it?
But I watched Echo the other day as well, and that was a bit of a damp squib as well. It felt like the editing was horrific. It felt like it should have been 10 episodes, and they scrunched it down to 5, and then they sort of lost the story in between it and kept all the boring bits because the main character, you didn't really care about her. Obviously Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin was the highlight of everything whenever he appeared in, and that was about it really.
It's a shame. I feel like that they kind of peaked with Daredevil a little bit, show-wise.
Yes, they did.
I enjoyed the Winter Soldier and the Hawkeye stuff and that, but I think they may have peaked with Daredevil.
Yeah, and Loki. I really enjoyed Loki because it was just totally.
Actually, that was good.
That was totally unhinged.
That's more to do with the actors, though.
Yeah, that
as a comedy pairing, they're hilarious.
I know. Loki was just totally unhinged. It was like, what is going on here?
I think Tom Hiddleston is a good actor, though. I think his portrayal's hilarious.
But at the end of the Marvels, they hinted at obviously Young Avengers, which I thought, are they going to do this or are they not? But they need to, if they want to continue doing all these films, they need to sort of contain them a bit and stop having everything interlinked with everything else so much.
I think it's exploding too wide at the moment. I'm a bit worried about Madam Web. I haven't seen it yet, but
I've heard some iffy stuff about it.
Yeah, how wide do you want to make the Spider-Man universe within the Marvel universe? Because it's going to get messy quick. Yeah.
But then saying that, I saw the trailer, and the trailer looked interesting to me. So
yeah, it did.
But then lots of trailers looked interesting.
Yeah. I just don't know if I've got the time to invest.
That's the problem.
All of it at the moment.
I know.
That's the thing.
It's not the top of my list of things to see. Really, if it appears on TV at some point, I'll watch it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, move on. Yeah, I was saying about Philip Chase's videos. He's got quite a few of them come up recently, all about a top 10 if you comedy ones.
I like those series,
which I said I like Philip because he knows his stuff. He knows it in and out. And I said I can't recommend his channel highly enough to anybody if you really want to have deep dives into things because he just knows it so well. And I know you've read his book, haven't you? The Adan series.
Yeah, I read that trilogy. It's a trilogy because he wrote it over the space of 20 years. It was in development for about 20 years. And it gets gradually better and better. And the final book is just exceptional. The third book, because he's obviously improved as a writer as he's gone along. It's not just the world being developed. I was very, very impressed in the end.
Have you? Because I've noticed recently, is it just me or is like all the Booktube area quite quiet at the moment?
I've noticed that a number of content creators have dropped one video per week. So people that used to do 3 are doing 2, people that used to do 4 are doing 3. So I think it's the start of the year and people are working hard in their jobs. I think I personally I'm really struggling to keep up at the moment, watching people's videos and reading and stuff because work's just too crazy. And I think that's just what it is for a lot of people.
I just wondered what I was imagining because I was looking back at. Oh, don't start again. He just wants to appear. What are you doing? Oh no, that's the other one. That's the Pom. She's starting now. Because I was looking back at sort of videos I'd recommend, that I've been watching recently, and I'm thinking, actually, I haven't got that many. Because I said, obviously, the Philip Chase one came to mind. I saw a really good video a few weeks ago by... Gizmo, everybody, if you want to know. And I don't know why he's been a pain this morning. Can you be quiet, boy? Said last time they were really good. It's just like, oh dear. But yeah, back to videos I've seen. I don't know if you know Spread Book Joy.
Yeah, I don't think I've heard of that one.
Yeah, she's English. I think she's down in Devon somewhere. She did a really good video, which I don't think the title did it, called How to Do Booktube the Right Way and What I've Been Getting Wrong.
Okay.
But if you watch the video, it was more about the fact that she's been going along doing lots of TBRs and book hauls and that's not really what she wants to be doing. She wants to be doing sort of more book, she'd rather do less stuff and more stuff of what she wants to, rather than just going along and doing what everybody else is doing. And I just thought it was a really nicely put video, and I just thought it was really quite interesting. What I did notice this morning when I quickly popped on was the fact that she's just done another video on Shogun as well on the book. But it was just a really nice put together video. And the other one I watched, I know it's a bigger YouTuber, Merphy Napier. She did one of her vlogs. Do you know the book Into the Wild?
Yes.
What about Chris McCandless? She hated the book. I love the book, but she hated the book. But I love watching people's takes on when they totally dislike a book I like. Mm. And I just thought that...
yeah, trying to find out why, yeah.
Yeah. To me, she sort of was concentrating too much on the practicalities of it, because Chris McCandless, if anybody didn't know, he basically was very intelligent university, just went off into the wild, literally into the wilds of Alaska, and died because he just had enough. But the actual book is more explores the mindset of what makes somebody do that. But Merphy in her video was more concentrated on the fact that why did he go out into the wild when he had no training and stuff like this. But I understand her point of view, but I really quite liked it, because I said I do like when people dislike something that I like, but they put it across really well.
Yeah. Definitely. It makes for a more interesting video sometimes, doesn't it?
Which, I know the weird video I watched over last week was a channel called Nerdforge that I stumbled across, which they build lots of really, it's nothing to do with reading or anything. They do build some weird stuff, and the main girl on there, I think somewhere in Scandinavia or something, she, in an accident many years ago, had lost half her little finger. So she printed a replacement finger. And it's building this replacement finger and making it usable. And it is a totally random thing. And I sat there and watched it. It's about a 30-minute video, and I watched this and I thought, why am I watching this? And why is this so fascinating? But but that's basically sort of weird stuff that I've been watching.
I've only got two things myself. Like I say, it's been hard to get onto Booktube and watch, and also, like you say, I think there's been less videos generally out there. I wanted to shout out to, obviously, the guys that are doing the Wasted Weekend this weekend, because the Garb August 2.5, I think. Yeah,
I have
this weekend. So
I have ethical issues with Garb August.
Yeah. It's a counterproductive system.
Well, I know the reason they call it garbage and trash is because they're trying to get people to read this stuff. But to me, once you label something like that, that label sticks.
Yeah. It shouldn't. Yeah, it's hard.
But I take
books. It should just be taboo books, really, shouldn't it?
Yeah, but
marginalised books.
But they do read some quite interesting books. They pick up some stuff that I said other people don't pick up. It's. I didn't realise it was this weekend actually that it was a 2.5. Yeah.
So if anyone watching this likes novelizations or maybe smut, I'm sure there's going to be plenty of content on Booktube there.
Yeah.
And the other video I saw that I thought was good was is it Bookstalgic? Farah Bookstalgic. She just released her top books of 2023, but she did it by genre. So effectively, she's given like 10 genre picks, like recommendations, and there was a really interesting horror / magical realism book that she mentioned that I had to add to my Goodreads because I thought it sounded really, really interesting. But yeah, to be fair, other than that and a little bit of comic book content I saw from Steve and Mike, I haven't been able to watch too much.
Yeah, but hey, it's good to be busy anyway.
True, certainly is.
But yeah, I said there hasn't been huge amounts around. I said when I was out of action for a while, I didn't watch much at all. I didn't read much at all. I was just like listening to some more. I listened to some audiobooks I'd already heard before.
Yeah. Well, other than use your ears, what else can you do when you're in that situation? I can't read. I can't watch either. So yeah, I can't imagine what it must have been like.
It's just one of these things. Happens. You get on with stuff and thank you. So if you, as you said, you're so busy, so I assume you've not got huge amounts coming out over the next.
Yeah. So I appeared on Philip's channel and then Cliff's channel, and then obviously we do a podcast. So that's most of my presence on Booktube basically at the moment is just kind of having chats. I'll try to get a Gaijin review out, and I've got like a book tag coming out. But yeah, I don't have too much coming out. I'm about to start reading the Malazan series, so I've got another chunky book up next. So yeah, don't expect too many book reviews or book discussions because I'm gonna be bogged down, probably pretty busy.
Yeah, I know them.
How about yourself?
I got carried away and did a trailer for something I was doing.
It's a good trailer though.
I know. My idea was I wanted to do some stuff that I could do really quickly because everything I'm doing at the moment seems to be bogged down with loads of stuff I'm doing. So I had this idea of doing what I deem as classic science fiction books, but in my definition of classic books is going to be anything that I read before the age of 18 that I have reread since and still love.
I hate to say it, but that is a classic book now.
Yeah, but if you look at the definition of classics, it's whether they're long lasting. So I may pick stuff that other people won't make. So I thought, okay, I can do those. And then if I keep the videos less than 5 minutes, that'd be nice and quick. So I started doing that. And then somehow I went down some rabbit hole and created a trailer for it because I was doing a thumbnail or something. And next thing I know, Rosie said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I've just made a trailer." It took me way too long than it should have done. I spent way too much time.
The best 10 seconds on Booktube, but
it took me far too much time. But I've got the yesterday I spent quite a few hours sat down recording, and I recorded about 4 bits of video. So I've got the introduction to that, which hopefully is going to come out tomorrow or Tuesday. I've just got to do some basic editing on it. I've got another video where quick one when I talk about what do I talk about? It's all about the stuff about sexism, racism stuff that's going to be in those videos because people discount it because of that and just say, no, I don't really want to talk about this, but it's there and you've got to acknowledge that it exists.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, if you're making recommendations, you've got to understand that some people are going to really struggle to get through those kind of moments. And
so I've got a little video just on that, just so that then I don't have to address it in every book that I have with a little bit of sexism or racism in it.
Yeah.
And then hopefully I'm going to have the first one of the quick content out before the back of the week. I've also recorded I've been on a bit of spree, a thing about overpopulation. It started off that I was doing a talk on, I need to read this because it's such a Philip Jose Farmer's The Slice Crossed Only on Tuesday World.
Wow.
It's a short story.
That is a mouthful.
Yeah, and I keep forgetting it. And the world he created is what he used for his Day World books. But this is the original short story, which I managed to get hold of. And I was going to do a video just on that. And then I went down and there's a Harry Harrison story called A Criminal Act, which is also about overpopulation. So I'm going to do both of them together because they both address the issue in 2 totally different ways. Yeah. So I've done that, and that hopefully at the back of the week. And then I'm still working on my Blade Runner thing in the background and another long one as well. But
it is coming, everyone.
it is coming at some point. It's just like, oh, but I've not really touched it because I was writing some stuff for it before, and I'm still doped up to the eyeballs on certain drugs at the moment, so my brain's not 100% working properly. But yeah, but the reason I did the introduction to classic science fiction was to try and do quick stuff, and then I went off and did a huge trailer. But hey, it was fun doing it.
Yeah.
But that's basically what
I thought it's being advertised for a new kind of like Twilight Zone series or something on YouTube or something.
what originally the whole thing was about 2 minutes long, and I thought nobody's going to watch 2 minutes of this.
Yeah, that's not a trailer anymore.
No, you know,
Upload a full video.
and so I was going through cutting stuff, and then to get the running guy, tell you the running guy inside the screen. I had a video before that's just a guy running on sand, and then I had to put planets in the background to get rid of the original sky because he's running on some beach somewhere because it's some stock footage. And then I had to do that. Then I had to get it inside the TV. It's like way more complicated than it needed to be.
Yeah, I bet.
But
hats off to you, man. It looked difficult.
but things we do. But yeah, that's my upcoming stuff really. And
yeah, me too. Other than I'm probably gonna keep watching that True Detective show. Have you watched any of those?
I watched the first season.
Yeah, I thought that first season was amazing.
Which was really good.
Kind of, yeah. Yeah, they've got a new one out with Jodie Foster. It's been quite good. It's much more. I don't know. It's more like a horror show than the other seasons. Yeah, less police work, more horror in this one. But yeah, it's been pretty good.
Well, we're working through rewatching Lost at the moment, which is as unhinged, which is unhinged as it ever was.
Yeah.
And I still think my favourite bits are the bits with the Dharma Initiative.
Yeah, that's got to be coming up 20 years old now, right?
Yeah. What I was watching.
That's mad. I can't believe that's almost 20 years old.
Because when we were watching it, I was saying, I'm so glad that I'm watching this before people got mad on social media, because so much of this would have been ruined. Because when I first watched it, I think it was broadcast on a Sunday evening on Channel 4 or something. All I knew about it was the fact it was a show about a plane crash. That's all I knew about it.
Well, that's kind of, that's what it was billed as, right? I mean,
yeah.
That first trailer, it's like, oh yeah, these guys crashed on a desert island. Are they going to survive? Really? I was thinking, this is going to be, like Lord of the Flies with adults.
Yeah. But yeah, then it went off on one, and it's like, okay. Well, so yeah, that's my. I said I've been through lots of Marvel stuff recently. Film-wise, nothing really watched up. I haven't really had time to do anything else. We've got lots of. I'm trying to think because next week we've got lots of building work coming into the house. They're putting a new hoist system for my wife in a wheelchair, and it's all complicated, and they're all coming. So that's going to be carnage in the house. So, which is part of the reason why I recorded loads of stuff yesterday, because I thought, well, if I can keep out of the way, at least I can edit it and do stuff with it.
Yeah, exactly. Because you probably won't be able to record for a while.
Won't be able to record, and then it's just trying to make sure Rose is okay while all this work's going on and stuff. So that's my week's going to be. But yeah, I haven't got anything else I specifically was thinking about today. I don't know whether you have anything.
No, all good. I think we've successfully
completed the second
Podcasty Thing too.
Number 2.
This is a journey into sound.